it's also a major issue to our closest neighbour, Tincan Bay, who relies both on recreational tourism, fishing, and very heavily on commercial fishing to survive. And on that note, I'll introduce our first speaker, Peter Todd, who's the president of the Tincan Bay Chamber of Commerce. Tincan Bay organises and runs the famous Tincan Bay Seafood Festival, which is this year's on the September 25. Never misses a chance for a plug, do you, Peter?
Evening, everybody. I'm surprised there's so many people here and you're not out fishing. Look, this is a media event, so the first thing we need to do is everybody needs to come into the middle so we can get pictures, and it looks like lots of people. That's the way.
Looks like a lot more people. There's a lot of people.
Use photo bucket, just duplicate.
Yeah. That's the way. Now you can get some shots.
Right over here.
I'll get a few.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks all for coming out on a Sunday when you could be out fishing. I'm one of the silent majority that you never hear from. So this is new for me, and it's probably a bit new for you as well. Today I represent Tincan Bay and the Kalula coast. The blast radius from the closures will be felt from Mooloolaba to Bundaberg. But if there's a ground zero in all of this, it is Tincan Bay and Kalula Cove. About 6,000 people. 6,000 people. We fish. We depend on access to fishing grounds. Our two main industries are commercial fishing and fishing-related tourism. Our position is this: if sustainability is not a problem, if seafloor damage is not an issue, and if pollution is not a problem, why threaten closures? The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park was the largest closure in the history of the world. This vast area ticks all the biodiversity boxes that you could ever find within the Fraser AFA. Why threaten closures? I might say that Great Barrier Reef Marine Park is only 40 nautical miles north of the Fraser AFA. There can only be two reasons, apart from Peter Garrett needing a job after the next election, with either the Pew Group or WWF.
Howard, didn't he open up the bloody close the park off?
The first reason is that within the that there is no political backlash for the current government. The seats affected by these closures are all coalition. The second reason is that Labor is bleeding votes from its traditional source of power base, that is the unions and the rank and file unions. They need a new support base, they need green votes, and they need Greed preferences. And if that means the Greens have the balance of power in the Senate, so be it, so long as Labor stays in government. Think about that. Labor is prepared to devastate a community of 6,000 people for a few green votes and preferences so that they can stay in power.
We're not all Labor voters.
A couple of points about the US-based Pew Group, and you could look them up. Pew is spelt P-E-W. Just Google it. They have enormous influence within the current government, especially Peter Garrett and the Federal Department of Environment. In their own country, they've managed to only lock up 1% of their fisheries. In this country, they want to lock up 30%. And that was confirmed actually this morning on one of the radio shows. Knowing that they can't win an election with fishing closures on the political menu, Peter Garrett announced in the Australian a couple of weeks ago that no closure announcements would be made until after the election. Not that the political policy is wrong or flawed, we'll just sweep it under the carpet until after the election and trot it out if we win and say we have a mandate. Exactly the same, incidentally, as I've done with the ETS. We don't want the ETS on the debate agenda because the vast majority of Australians don't want it. They do understand it, but they don't want it. That, people, is the new definition of cynical. What can you do? Well, you can vote Labor if you want, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'd only ask that you don't give any of the preferences or any votes to the Greens. You give them votes and you give them preferences, and we're dead in the water. Mark them last. The second thing you can do is tell all your friends, because you'll know more about all this than most people after you leave here. And the third thing you can do, you've already done it actually, you've come out today, and we didn't really expect this many people, but it's fabulous to see so many. Thanks for coming.